Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's up, everybody? Happy Election Day. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Couldn't pick a better day to be on the radio today. Big day for our country, for our future. And I'm so glad that you decided to take the time to join us. Hey, we got double duty today, man. We're doing our normal show today for the next 2 hours. We're going to take a long lunch break, a 2-hour lunch break. Then we're going to be back 4 to 6 p.m. on all the same platforms with some very special guests. So thank you so much for joining us. Could be the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, the FM AM dial right here at KSHP. Of course, my personal YouTube page at PTL Radio Show, the website pushingthelimits.live. We're on X, we're on Twitch, we're everywhere. And we appreciate you being a part of what we do here. We're going to have some special guests throughout the day, as I've mentioned. And, of course, it is Election Day. It is Judgment Day. I've been getting into it with people today. I got to be honest with you. Before even I decided to go on the air, I've been texting people. I've been duking it out with people. I was just having a conversation with Daniel Negreanu, the professional poker player. I do want to start the show off today by sharing a story with you. So I had a conversation with a female friend of mine. She's a huge, staunch Donald Trump supporter, right? And I asked her, because she was on her way to the polling booth, and I asked her, why are you voting for Donald Trump? You know, why? Why are you voting for Donald Trump? And she said, well, because of policy. Now, like most Trump supporters, she couldn't name me any policies. She just blamed illegals for all of her problems, right? And I asked her a question because I think it's a very serious question to ask somebody, because usually it's where the conversation can either continue or it ends. And I said to her, what if there was a video of Donald Trump molesting a child? Would you still support him? Because at that point, you need to see if they're just a cultist or maybe the conversation continues. She looks at me, and by the way, she has a family. And she looks at me. She has kids, and she says to me, I would still vote for Trump. And I said, whoa, wait a second. If Trump raped a child, you would still vote for him? How can you say that? And she looks at me and she goes, yep, because I like his policies. Folks, that's where the conversation ends. I'm happy to have conversations with people that have disagreements when it comes to policy. I'm happy to have conversations with people that can be on some intelligent level, right? Some logical level, but I can't have a conversation with somebody that would vote for a child molester. By the way, Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist, and he's a 34-count felon, so it's not too far from the truth anyway. But some of these Trumpers out there, they're such cultists. Let's hope we can put an end to it today. I want to tell all of you that, you know, this show is dedicated to all of you. It is every day, really. But we're going to be taking a lot of phone calls today. In these 2 hours, we're going to be taking a lot of calls. And then we're going to take a 2-hour break, and then we're going to come back on the same platforms. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, we're going to be on those same platforms from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to take a lot of calls. As I mentioned, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you guys from the polling, from the place where you're going to be voting. Maybe you just voted. I want you to call me. I want to know who you voted for. I want to know why. Maybe you're on your way to vote. Maybe you're a first-time voter. Maybe you're a MAGA supporter. I'm going to want to hear from you guys coming up here in just a little bit. But for those of you that might be listening and you're still undecided, at this hour late in the game, you still don't know who you're voting for. Or if you're somebody that has already voted for Donald Trump, I just want to remind all of you who Donald Trump is. So I want to send this message first to my right-wing evangelical friends who might have voted for Donald Trump today. Here's Donald Trump talking about the Bible.
I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
He doesn't want to get into specifics because he's never read the Bible. He's a liar. So for you right-wing evangelicals out there who voted for Donald Trump today, you're all a bunch of idiots. You're an idiot. This is a guy who's never read the Bible before. He doesn't even know one verse. He can't even recite one verse. And he's said this over and over again. Oh, I don't want to talk about the Bible. You know, it's very special to me, but it's very personal. I don't want to talk about it because he's never read the Bible. But yet he's allowed China to make Bibles for him for $3 and to be selling them for $60. All right, so for those of you that think Donald Trump isn't out for himself, for those of you that think Donald Trump is out for the American people, that he puts America before himself, I just want to remind all of you, this is for all of you out there that think that Donald Trump is out for you and he cares about the American people. This is a little montage of Donald Trump swindling and Donald Trump with the various scams, grifting products over the years. Have a listen to this.
Part of this, God bless the USA Bible, and it's just very important and very important to me. I want to have a lot of people have it. You have to have it for your heart.
Enjoy steaks of this quality
Trump
in one
steak.
of my resort restaurants
Delicious.
or America's finest steakhouses. But now that's changed. Today, through the Sharper image, you can enjoy the world's greatest steaks in your own home with family, friends, any... So what do you think of my Trump Home mattress collection by Serta? Finally, the same luxury and comfort I demand in my hotels.
Melania hasn't slept on any of these mattresses.
Cheap again.
Listen.
Mr. Trump, please. My new game is Trump, the game. Trump, the game, where you deal for everything you ever wanted to own. Because it's not whether you win or lose, it's whether you win. Yes! Play Trump, the game, from Milton Bradley.
I think you'll like it.
Vodka, and I'm very proud of the fact, actually, that I don't drink, but it's a vodka that people really like, and as you know, it's taken off like crazy.
I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. We have like 5 minutes of this stuff. I can't take it. I'm done. No, I can't take it.
Keep going.
Can't take it.
Keep going.
Nope, I can't take it.
Keep going.
No more. Anyway, I can play you more. I'm not going to. These are Donald Trump's scams, selling Bibles, selling steaks, selling water, selling trading cards, selling patches of his jacket when he had to turn himself in. I mean, you name it. So for those of you out there that think Donald Trump puts America first, you're an idiot. And for you people out there that claim to have family values, right? You hear that all the time within the Republican Party, right? Family values. The nuclear family. You hear that from J.D. Vance every day. Family. Well, here's a little bit of Donald Trump talking about his daughter on the Howard Stern Show and pageants. Have a listen to this. If you're talking about family values, listen to this.
Your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I go out with somebody, and she's like 21, and she's talking about, what are you doing? And she's studying algebra. And,
So what?
And it's like, it was always embarrassing for me to walk in. It's too young. 30's like a perfect age.
Absolutely. She has enough life experience.
Until she's 35.
Yeah. Well, that's too much life experience.
Yeah, 35. What is it at 35, Howard? It's called checkout time.
And you're probably, I would say, the greatest judge of beauty on this planet. In fact, I would create a TV show for you where all you did was just judge women.
Now, that may be the best idea of all.
It's a simple thing. It's a half hour, and we strip it out all over the country.
I would say I'm the all-time judge.
You own this pageant. You go over. You're meeting the girls and stuff. One of them comes up to you and says, "Mr. Trump, you're a very sexy man.
You're a beautiful man. You have fantastic hair.
Well, you're a powerful man, right? Right? You're a powerful man.
Right.
I want to sleep with you." Now, you're not the type that would say no.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want to have that. You're a guy who likes to have everything, right?
Well, couldn't that be construed, however, as
Conflict?
yes?
I don't see it as a conflict.
It could be a conflict of interest, but, it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything
a doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with it.
Yeah, he sort of gets away with it, bragging about it. So let me be clear. If you claim that you have a moral compass and you call yourself a family man, a family woman, a family person, and you claim to have family values and you voted for Donald Trump, yeah, you guessed it. You're an idiot. So what is the final message that Donald Trump is sharing with America in his last rally before Election Day today? Well, Donald Trump is making the case that he wishes that Mike Tyson would get in the ring with Kamala Harris. Folks, I'm not making this up. Have a listen.
Mike's been through a lot, but he could fight. Let me tell you, that guy could fight. But can you imagine Mike? Oh, he says, put Mike in the ring with Kamala. That would be interesting.
That's a great final message, isn't it? I thought Republicans were against men that were born men competing with women, but I guess it's okay as long as a former professional fighter gets in the ring with Kamala Harris and punches her. That's really what he's saying. That's who you want to be the leader of the free world. That's one of his final messages, by the way, in his last rally. He's also repeating claims that his campaign was spied on, and he brought up the Mueller testimony and saying that he was totally exonerated, which, by the way, he wasn't. This is, again, his final message, playing the victim. Have a listen to this.
He was in the act. They spied on my campaign. It's now proven. Spied on my campaign. The Russia thing with Mueller, you saw Mueller's performance in Congress, right? He didn't know anything. We were totally exonerated.
They were not totally exonerated. If you actually read the report, there were at least 10 instances of obstruction. But again, in his final message to the American people, nothing about positivity, nothing about the future, all about him being the victim and attacking people and saying that he wishes Kamala Harris was in the ring with Mike Tyson, and he's talking about Mueller's testimony. Basically, his entire closing speech was about Kamala Harris. And yesterday, I don't think Kamala Harris mentioned Donald Trump's name once. But again, here goes Donald Trump playing the victim and then going after Kamala Harris with personal insults.
They've already pulled out of a couple of states, states like the word is they pulled out of North Carolina. They cut all their ads. They're using the money someplace else. I even heard they ran out of money. They don't have any money with all the money.
Yeah, that's right. They don't have any money. Kamala Harris doesn't have any money, even though she outraged you tenfold. But yeah, Kamala doesn't have any money. Did you see all of the musicians that were coming out for Kamala yesterday? Everybody came out for her. Right here in Las Vegas, Christina Aguilera performed. All over the country, some of the best musicians that this country has to offer were performing and supporting Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, Donald Trump on a stage yesterday didn't have any big stars supporting him, not even Hulk Hogan or Kid Rock. I don't know where they were yesterday. But Donald Trump, here he is making the excuse about, we don't need stars because he talks about policy. Listen to this.
Just to bring it back into seriousness, we don't need a star because we have policy. We have great policy. We have great policy.
You do? Concepts of policies. What's your health care plan? You've had 9 years to come up with it. What's your policy? Deport 20 million illegals? How are we going to do that? He hasn't really talked about how he's going to do that, has he? What's his policy besides giving the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% in this country? Tell me what Donald Trump's policy is. Oh, well, he's going to close the border. Didn't close the border when he was president. No, really, I'd love to know from you MAGA idiots out there. What's his policy? He never talks about policy. He's got concepts of a plan. He got his ass kicked by Kamala Harris on that debate stage. He's a coward. It's why he did not want to get back there on the debate stage with Kamala Harris, because he was scared and he knows he got his ass kicked. What's his policy besides lying? What's his policy besides sharing his grievances? What's his policy? You tell me. What is his policy? And now we're learning that there have been 3 threats at U.S. polling stations in this country from Russia. Russia, once again, interfering in our elections with bomb threats. Now, you won't hear Donald Trump talk about this. You won't hear somebody like Carrie Lake talk about this. They'll say the Democrats are cheating. We all know who Russia wants and who the Kremlin wants to win this election. I got a hint for you. It's the same guy who gave the Kremlin COVID test kits during COVID. Once again, Russia is interfering in our elections. They interfered in our elections before, and they're doing it again. You won't hear MAGA Republicans complaining about this, though. They'll blame the Democrats for everything. Mark my words on this, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump is going to declare victory before all the votes are counted. Donald Trump will probably be declaring victory within several hours from now. He's already talking about election fraud when there's literally no evidence to prove. He's already saying he's going to win in a landslide, and he will declare victory. Even if Kamala Harris wins in a landslide, he will declare victory. The damage that this man has done to this country and the damage he will continue to do to this country, even if he's not elected as president, is insurmountable, and it's going to continue. Kamala Harris didn't even mention his name yesterday. She talked about the future. And for those of you out there that still don't know where she stands on policy, you're an idiot. We know where she stands on abortion. 100% we know where she stands on that. She wants to give the woman a right to choose. By the way, 60% of the country agree with her on that issue, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I think she's going to win. We know where she stands on the border. She wants to get that border bill back into place. And MAGA Republicans say, oh, well, it wasn't a good bill. Well, guess what? MAGA Republicans helped put it together, and Border Patrol endorsed the bill. So they thought it was a good enough bill and a good step forward. So that's a lie. We know where she stands there. We know where she stands on health care, the Affordable Care Act. Donald Trump has concepts of a plan. Republicans have no replacement to Obamacare. We know where she stands on the economy. We know where she stands on taxes. She doesn't want to give the top 1% tax breaks. She wants the rich to pay their fair share. And if you're making under $400,000 a year, your taxes will be somewhere around 28%. She's talked about that. We know where she stands on welfare, maternity leave, food stamps, government programs that can help people that are living paycheck to paycheck. We know where she stands on housing, $25,000 down payment on your first home. We know where she stands on helping people that want to start up small businesses. We know where she stands on basically every issue. Why? Because she talks about it every day. And for MAGA Republicans out there that say, oh, well, I don't know really where she stands on an issue. It's either you're extremely ill-informed and you have no freaking idea what you're talking about, or you're just another moron MAGA Republican that is lying and defending a liable, adjudicated rapist, 34-count felon. It's one or the other. Now, I've given you my opinions. I've given you my prediction. I could be wrong. I do believe Kamala Harris is going to win. I do have concerns. I am worried. I am nervous. If Donald Trump wins, I will go on the air tomorrow and I will do a show tomorrow, and I won't be sitting here crying. I'll certainly be frustrated. I'll certainly be upset, but life will go on. But I hope that doesn't happen. Now, I don't know if we're going to find out who wins today. Probably not. I don't know if we're going to find out who wins tomorrow. Probably not. I think it's going to take a minimum of 3 to 4 days before we really find out for sure who wins this election. I think it's going to be a very close race. I've been saying that for months. This is going to be a very close election. And I got to be honest with you guys, because I'm always honest with you. I go back to 2015, 2016 for a moment. I didn't know a lot about Donald Trump. I was 36 years old. I didn't know a lot about Trump. I knew him as a reality TV guy who was not the nicest guy in the world. I didn't know a lot about his business practices. I didn't know a lot about him, the human being. I didn't feel like Hillary Clinton campaigned well. She didn't really resonate with me. I knew she was qualified for the job. So I made a mistake. And I made a mistake that I've always owned, and I will continue to own, and I told myself I would never make that same mistake again. I made a mistake, and I sat that one out. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, and I didn't vote for Donald Trump. Why? Because at the time I didn't like either of them, and I had no idea the monster that Donald Trump is. I had no idea. And like I said, months after Trump won, and we kind of got a sense of who he was, who he is, I promised myself I would never make that same mistake again. And in 2020, not that I have anything personal against Joe Biden, because I don't. I think Joe Biden's a decent man who was a good president here. But I voted for Joe Biden because it was more of an anti-Donald Trump vote. I voted for Joe Biden because I wanted decency. I wanted decency back into the White House. I wanted somebody with a moral compass, somebody who is a decent human being. And that's why I voted for Joe Biden. And it turns out Joe Biden panned out to be a pretty darn good president. If you look at the economy, where we are now with inflation under 3%, unemployment at 4%, black unemployment, I think 5.2% was the last thing I saw. Most gas prices across the country are under $3. NASDAQ is through the roof. Manufacturing jobs through the roof. So I know I made the right decision. This election is a little bit different for me. While I am more anti-Donald Trump than ever, I also believe Kamala Harris is a decent human being. She's a good family woman, a good wife, seems to me to be a really good mother, according to the biological mother of that family. That means a lot to me. She's someone who worked hard in her life. Nobody handed her a $500 million company. She had to earn everything. And I'm not going to entertain these misogynistic, far right-wing pieces of human garbage, because that's what you are, that claim, oh, she slept her way to the top. There are actually right-wing hosts, even in Las Vegas, that make statements like that. It's despicable, and it's disgusting. She became senator, a vice president. She was a hell of a prosecutor in my eyes. And hopefully the next president of the United States. This is decency. This is important. And I am now beginning to think that Kamala Harris might just win the state of Nevada. Why do I say that? Well, there are new numbers that are out now, and the Democrats have done more than catch up. They have had a very strong showing here. Better late than ever, I guess. And if you are going to tell me that Democrats and Republicans are even close to being even, it's a huge advantage for Democrats, because you can't tell me that you're going to find more Democrats that are voting for Donald Trump than Republicans are going to be voting for Kamala Harris. This is a big win for Democrats. I'm beginning to think that Kamala Harris might just win the state of Nevada. She wins Pennsylvania. She wins Nevada. Arizona's very close. She wins Arizona. It's over. It's over. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is going to be a landslide victory. I don't know. I don't even know who's going to win. I'm just going to give you my predictions. I do think Harris is going to win. But this is good news for the Harris campaign, state of Nevada. The Democrats are coming out better late than ever. We heard about the early voters that are Republicans that are voting in the state of Nevada. I said, okay, let's not get too carried away here. And now it looks like, at least as of 30 minutes ago, Democrats have not only caught up, but they are ahead. More Democrats in the state of Nevada have voted. That is huge news for the Kamala Harris campaign. Now, we're going to continue to update the numbers. We're going to continue to give you more information, but that is the latest. The latest numbers right now, as of noon today, 25 minutes ago, is Democrats are outvoting Republicans in the state of Nevada by a little under 1,500 votes. That is a big deal. I don't know what that's going to look like across the country, but I can tell you this, the more people that vote is always an advantage for Democrats. The more people that vote in this election is an advantage for Kamala Harris, because most of the country is going to be voting for Harris. I guarantee you that Harris is going to win the popular vote. And this is a big deal, because we heard all the Republicans and the MAGA Republicans out there, look at all the Republicans that are voting early. Look at that. First of all, we don't even know. I told you this. The day all that information came out, I said, a lot of these Republicans might have been the same Republicans that would have been voting today. I told you that weeks ago. And it seems like it's coming to fruition right now because Democrats have caught up, and I expect those numbers to continue to climb. Those are the numbers as of noon today. That is a big deal for Democrats. That is a huge deal for Kamala Harris. And we will have to wait and see how this all pans out. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen by the end of the evening, but we do know the first exit polls results will be out here in about an hour and a half or so. And we'll be back on the air from 4 to 6 p.m. But right now, it's time to hear from you. Without you guys, this show doesn't exist. And I appreciate all of you. It doesn't matter whether you're a MAGA supporter. It doesn't matter whether you're voting for Trump or Harris. I do want to hear from you. I always give you guys a voice on this show. And that's what today's going to be all about. Sure, we have some great guests throughout the day that are going to be joining us. But I want to hear from you. How are you feeling on Election Day? Did you vote? Are you on your way to vote? Did you vote? What did it look like? How long did you have to wait in line? If you're a MAGA supporter, did you have a change of heart? Maybe the other way around. We want to hear from all of you. The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. I love taking phone calls on the show. I love hearing from the listeners all across the country, but today is even more special than ever on this very important election day. What do you think about that breaking news that I just shared with all of you, that Democrats have not only caught up with Republicans in the state of Nevada, but they are actually ahead of Republicans as far as voter turnout. So all those MAGA Republicans out there, you can shed your tears now. If those numbers continue to climb for Democrats, Kamala Harris is going to win the state of Nevada. Kamala Harris, in my personal opinion, as I've said before and I say again, I do believe she's going to win this election, but boy, I didn't think she was going to win Nevada. I'm starting to change my opinion now on those early numbers. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I also remind all of you, an independently owned radio show. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. If you go to pushingthelimits.live, you sign up for my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. You sign up for my newsletter. We sell merchandise on there, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it. We sell it. Help support what we do here. If you don't want to buy merchandise, there's a donate button right on the front page. $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can do, we can appreciate it very, very much so at PTL Radio Show. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up next, we are going to hear from you, and we're going to have a very special guest joining us in studio in hour number 2. But now it's time to hear from you. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.
Let's take our country back, one community, one vote at a time. I am Ron Quince, and I'm asking for your vote because every vote matters. I am Ron Quince, and I approve this message.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
I'm Shelley Berkeley, and I approve this message.
Shelley Berkeley, a proud Las Vegan who shatters barriers, becoming the first in her family to attend college, and served as UNLV's student body president, serving in the Nevada legislature, the University Board of Regents, and 7 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. Shelley excelled as the senior VP of the Toro University system. Shelley Berkeley, a dedicated mother and family woman. Shelley has the experience we need as our next mayor. Shelley gets things done.
Paid for by Shelley Berkeley for mayor.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back on this very special election day. It's PTL programming note for you. We are going to be doing a bonus 2 hours, 4 to 6 p.m. today. So we're going to take a 2-hour break after the show today, and we'll come back. All the same social media platforms, wherever you're watching. Could be on X, the Occupy Democrats Network. Could be on my personal YouTube page at PTL Radio Show, the local AM/FM dial. We'll be on all these platforms in a couple hours for some special election night coverage and some very special guests joining us. Please join me at Jackson's Bar and Grill, the official gaming bar of the PTL Radio Show. In fact, I might be heading over there for lunch today. Great food, great atmosphere, great promotions, including the Pass the Puck contest during Vegas Golden Knights home games. Every period, you have a chance to win up to $500 in free slot play if you're actively playing and you hit a 4 of a kind. Also, specials on how to get $50 in free slot play on Sundays. Also, a chance to win a free bottle of wine and more. Check out the promotions. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. So quickly, before I get to the calls, Joe Rogan yesterday publicly endorsed Donald Trump, of course, after Elon Musk came in to do an interview with him. Now, I put this up having a little fun with it, but also some serious. I think Elon Musk, in my personal opinion, paid him off. I really do. But I want to read for you this quote from Joe Rogan. This is what Joe Rogan said back in June of 2021. This is a direct quote. Quote, "One of the reasons why I think January 6th is important is because it highlights the reasons why a guy like Donald Trump is so effing dangerous. It's because a guy can incite a bunch of morons to do something really effing stupid." That's what Joe Rogan said back in 2021. Joe Rogan has endorsed Donald Trump. He's a phony. He's a meathead. I've been saying this about Joe Rogan for years. He's not a very intelligent guy. Okay, he does commentary of people beating the crap out of each other in the octagon. Okay, congratulations. I don't think he's a very smart guy. I don't care how successful he is. I don't care how many listeners he has. And I believe Elon Musk bought him off. I really do believe that. Maybe he offered him a few Teslas. I don't know. But I don't think this is going to change the outcome of the election in one way or another, period. I really don't. Kamala has all the great endorsements that she needs. And now it's just time for people to do their job and to vote. With that being said, let's get to the phone lines at 702-221-7283. I know the lines are all jacked up and full right now. Keep trying, and we're going to be taking a lot of calls today. It's why we're doing an extra 2 hours of the show later this evening. All right, let's go to Lou. Lou is first up on PTL. Hey, Lou, what's going on? Where are you calling from?
No, San Antonio, Brian. Hey, all I wanted to say was good closing argument yesterday on your show. That was very good.
Thank you.
And when this guy declares victory tonight prematurely, would you should telecast it?
Lou, you broke up there at the end. Repeat the last sentence there.
When he declares victory prematurely tonight, would you agree the network should not telecast it?
100%. I'm with you. They should not. He's done a lot of things prematurely in his life. If you don't believe me, just ask Stormy Daniels. But in all seriousness, Lou, Yeah, I don't think they should. We know that Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax will, because when you broadcast this stuff, it can incite violence or, something like January 6th. So, Lou, I'm with you. I don't think that they should broadcast it. They probably will because it's all about ratings for a lot of these people, whether it be a CNN. I don't think MSNBC would cover it. But at a minimum, I would say cover the speech. But then when he starts lying about the elections and how he won, I think they should break away. That's my opinion.
All right, buddy. Hey,
All right.
greatly appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you, Lou. I appreciate you listening and calling in. Thank you, sir. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike is next on PTL. What's going on, Mike?
How you doing, Brian?
Good.
Just want to let you know I love your show.
Thank
and
you.
You were the inspiration of my Halloween outfit for this party this year.
Oh yeah, what was that?
I got the newsboy hat, headphones, and a microphone, and then I had my friend dressed up with a no-sleeve flannel shirt with a MAGA hat and the Confederate flag sewn on the back, and I was going around interviewing people, and I made him look like a fool.
Very accurate, by the way, the outfit and the Confederate flag. Very accurate, my friend. So how are you feeling today? It's election day. I've made the case for how I feel. I'm still nervous, but I'm very optimistic. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I'm feeling very optimistic myself here in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've had better turnout than the Republicans so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'll get your reaction on this, but people were freaking out in Nevada because so many Republicans were voting early. And if you recall, even last week I said that doesn't necessarily mean that these are not the same Republicans, many of them that would normally vote on Election Day. A lot of them voted early. And guess what? What I said a week ago seems to be ringing true because now Democrats have not only caught up to Republicans as of noon today, 30 minutes ago, they are actually ahead of Republicans. The Democrats have had a larger turnout, 1,500 right now and growing. So, I think that, as I said earlier, and I'll say again, there's going to be a lot of turnout in this election. And I think if Kamala Harris wins, I believe she will. It's going to be for a lot of different reasons, but I think we're going to have to really put a lot of credit towards the moderate Republicans and independents that are voting on the side of democracy and women. I'm going to tell you this story, okay, on the air, and I can't say who it is, but a very close friend of mine who I've known for over a decade who has dedicated her life to the Republican Party. She has dedicated her life to the party. She has worked within the party. And I'm not going to say her name, but I will say this: for the first time in her life, she has voted for a Democrat, and that name is Kamala Harris. So I'm very proud of Republicans, staunch Republicans, that are on the right side of history. And it got me a little choked up in talking to this person because I'm like, wow, if Donald Trump loses, it's going to be because of those moderate Republicans. And maybe we need to even give more credence to the Liz Cheneys of the world, right? And it's going to make people like Nikki Haley look very foolish and stupid. She already does. But we all know that people like you, people like me, staunch anti-Trumpers are on the right side of history. But it's those independents and people that have never voted for a Democrat before. Those people, in my eyes, are going to be heroes because they decided to put the country first before their party. And I respect the heck out of those people. And let's hope we get the result we want. And if we do, I will continue to speak up about these people that have done something that I think is very courageous and patriotic, right?
Well, I'm hoping that Lauren Boebert goes down this time.
Oh, she's the
It was
worst.
too close last time.
She's the worst. Carrie Lake, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ted Cruz. I mean, the list goes on and on, right, with all these idiots. I mean, it'll be the cherry on the sundae if they all lose as well. I hope that guy Allred beats Cruz. If Donald Trump is out of office and you get all these MAGA morons and these idiots, like you said, Lauren Boebert, boy, will that be the cherry on the sundae, won't it? It'll be time to celebrate.
Yep. All right.
Thank you,
Go
sir.
Kamala.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the call. 702-221-7283. If you want to be a part of the conversation, we have one phone line open. Let's go to Margot. Margot is next on PTL. Hey, Margot, where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from New Jersey.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Margot. How you feeling today?
I am feeling hopeful. I was at the Philly rally last night.
Yep.
And I can vouch for the fact that although Donald Trump is saying there was only a couple hundred people there,
Right.
there was well over 50,000 people there.
A couple. Not
was
only did he say there were a couple hundred people there, but he also said that these people are getting paid, and it's mesmerizing to me. Have you seen Donald Trump's rallies? Did you see his rally in Georgia? It was pathetic. People leaving early. There's nobody there. They want to obsess over crowd size. Kamala has had enormous crowds. What was the vibe like out there? I know it was really cold out there last night. What was the vibe?
Well, the vibe was awesome. I'm 65 years old, and I stood online from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And they didn't open the doors until like 5 o'clock.
Yep.
But I was in the midst of a whole throng of people. And one of the things that I wanted to mention was the fact there were a lot of people from Sweden and other countries there, people that are here that have been in Pennsylvania canvassing because they see the danger of another Donald Trump presidency.
Yeah.
And they're here giving their time.
Yeah,
and they are nervous.
Oh, absolutely. And, listen, but we all should be nervous in the sense that, Russia's interfering in our elections again. We've had multiple bomb threats out there. But I'm so glad there are wonderful people like you. You sound like a wonderful lady. And I'm going to say it again. There's going to be a lot of reasons why, if in fact Donald Trump does lose, and it's because women are coming out in full force. Abortion is a huge topic that so many MAGA Republicans want to stay away from. Donald Trump, after he voted for himself today, the felon, by the way, which is incredible, he's allowed to vote, wouldn't answer a question about how he voted on that Florida referendum when it comes to abortion. He wouldn't answer the question because he's a coward. And there are Republicans in this country that are afraid for their children and their grandchildren that are women. When it comes to the issue of abortion, Republicans are so stupid. It doesn't matter what their personal beliefs are on abortion. They're so stupid that they think it's a smart move to tell women what to do with their own bodies. That's another big reason why women are coming out. And I'm telling you, that's why so many women are voting for Kamala Harris in this election. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. KR, let's go to KR. KR is next up on PTL. Hi, KR. Where are you calling from?
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
So I just want to address something about this election. My home country, unfortunately, is allies with Russia. And what scares me about this is, like you said, Russia is trying to interfere in American elections. And I think that if Kamala Harris wins, we can finally shut him down. We can finally make Russia back off and leave smaller nations alone. Leave America alone once and for all.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to get out and vote.
Yeah.
If we do not vote, that
well,
the dog water.
I got to tell you,
I
agree with you. I think that's very well said, but I have to tell you, Democrats have not only caught up to Republicans in the state of Nevada, but they have surpassed Republicans in the voting booth. That is extremely important. I'm beginning to think now that Kamala might be able to take Nevada. I didn't feel that way yesterday. I'm feeling that way today. And if Nevada is a sign for what's to come in other states in this country, then Republicans are in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble, my friend. But yes, you're right. We can't be complacent. You have to get out there. If you haven't voted already, you can't sit this one out. I made that mistake in 2016, and I regret it. And I've said I will never make that same mistake again. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I did not make that mistake this time around, and I hope you won't either. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Peter. Peter is next up on PTL. Hey, Pete, where are you calling from, man?
Hey, Brian. I'm calling from Southern California.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Peter. How you feeling today? What's on your mind?
Feeling great, actually. Just wanted to, tell you who I'm voting for without actually telling you who I'm voting for, and a quick story on my trip to the polls yesterday.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
You know what? I'm voting for my daughter. I'm voting for my son. If they're lucky enough to choose and to have children of their own, I'm voting for them. I'm voting for democracy. And that's why, hopefully by that you can tell who I am voting for.
Absolutely.
For president and vice president of the United States.
Boy, you sound like a huge MAGA Republican. No, I'm just kidding, Peter. I'm just kidding. Well, you know what, Peter? If you don't mind me asking, would you call yourself a Democrat? Or are you an independent like me? Where do you stand?
A Democrat. My first opportunity to vote was Obama's second term.
Mm-hmm.
I was in high school during his first term. Like you, I unfortunately sat out in 2016.
Right.
And like you, regret that and won't ever do it again.
We're on the same page there.
That being said,
yep.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, I'm not, far left, far right ever. It's country over party. And
right. How was your experience
really,
when you voted, Peter? If you can share that with us.
Yeah, I mean, and it was great. Actually, my wife and I went yesterday evening, and on my way to the poll, I noticed actually two women who, I never would like to assume, but presume actually, they were Indian American, and only reason why I presume that is because of their accents.
Right.
They were very happy with their decision. You can tell. They were taking selfies in the parking lot, and one of them said, "You know who we voted for."
Yeah.
And really, I didn't assume their legal status. I didn't assume their reasoning for voting.
Right.
I didn't assume any of their intentions or even their party. The only thing I assumed was that they were happy to be a part of the American dream and happy to contribute to, the election and to what's going on.
Sure, and it's important, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And it doesn't matter who you're voting for in that sense. We are all Americans. We all have the right, our voices to be heard and vote. The difference between one candidate and the other, Peter, is, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is if one candidate loses, she's going to concede. The other candidate will not concede. That's why he is a threat to our democracy. He will never concede the 2020 election, and I guarantee you if he loses today, he will not concede this election either. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Peter. Sounds like you have a wonderful family, and I'm glad that you voted not just for yourself, but for your wife and for your kids, and I think that's very commendable, my friend. And got to tell you something, Peter. I think there's far more people out there like you than these MAGA clowns. And I appreciate you calling in. Not to say that if you're a MAGA clown, you can't call into the show and at least try to make the case why you voted for Donald Trump, but that's another story. But you're welcome to call in. If you voted for Donald Trump, you could explain to me why, and I will hear you out. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Janelle. Janelle is next up on PTL. What's going on, Janelle?
Hey, Brian. I've got a healthy bit of anxiety going on today, and sitting here in the great state of North Carolina, anxiously waiting for the polls to close and see what happens because I know it's going to set the tone.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic primarily because of the Seltzer poll that I saw on Saturday, which shocked everybody apparently.
Right.
The more I'm hearing, I don't know if you've heard about this because apparently it's just come out about what's been called poll herding, and the New York Times Siena poll admitting to doing this, saying that they've kind of aligned themselves with other polls to make sure that they don't look like fools or something like that.
Yeah.
And I have a suspicion they're only admitting to this because of the Seltzer poll that came out on Saturday, because they are wrong. And I'm not going to say they're wrong, but they're off from the Seltzer poll.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
Well,
why polls would do this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's going to be some strange things that are going to be happening in this election. We already know that Russia has interfered. There have been bomb threats, particularly in Georgia. This is not surprising to me. However, I think, and I'm not trying to scare people, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think the next several days it's going to get worse, no matter what the outcome is.
Agreed. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Right.
And
but we need to get through it as a country. We need to get through it as a country, and I would rather get through it knowing that a decent human being is going to be the leader of the free world, rather than trying to get through it and knowing that a liable rapist, 34-count felon who just wants retribution and staying out of jail is going to be the leader of the free world. That'll make me feel a lot better at things if he's not around anymore. So Let's just
I
hope
would
for
love
the
it to
best.
be over tonight.
I would love it too, Janelle. I just don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think that's plausible. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. Unless it's an absolute landslide victory for one candidate or the other, which I don't see happening. I just don't think that's going to happen. All right, let's go to Paul, 702-221-7283. Paul, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. Hey, so I was having lunch today, and this lady was next to me, and I had my Heroes wall set. Now I'm in California, so obviously it's blue, but there are reds. And she said, I like your hat. And she showed me she was wearing her pearls today because of the election. I thought it was really cool.
That's kind of cool. I like that. I like to hear that. You know, I saw a lady walking around earlier today in the supermarket this morning wearing a Harris Waltz shirt. And I told her, I said, I really liked her shirt. And I hope she wins. And she looked at me and she goes, she's going to win. And it kind of reminded me of when I when I met Kamala Harris about 6-7 weeks ago, kind of the same reaction where I gave her a high five. I knew I would only have a few moments with her, and I said, you better win. And, you know, I'm not threatening her. I just said, you better win because I don't want Trump to win. And then she looked right at me, and I have the video. I posted it on social. She said, trust me, we will win. And there's nothing more I'd like to do than to retweet that again and put it up on social media and say, Kamala Harris was right. We'll have to wait and see.
I think it's important for guys to understand how important this is, because it's just like, you know, when George Floyd and how we stood with them and protested.
Yeah.
I don't think guys truly understand how important this is for women. You know, I mean, we've been in this, 248 years we've had elections. 50% of our country are women.
Yeah.
And every single time we say, oh, we don't mind having a woman there. We just want the most qualified woman. I mean, Brian, they passed up on Nikki Haley, who, although I disagree with, she's not a convicted felon. She's not a rapist.
Right.
She didn't cause an insurrection. And they're like,
and
nope,
how stupid
not
is
her.
Donald?
I want this guy instead.
How stupid is Donald Trump? I mean, I guess that's a double entendre there, but how stupid is Trump that Nikki Haley was willing to campaign with him? And we know a lot of these Nikki Haley supporters are not necessarily going to be voting for Trump. He had an opportunity to try to win back some of those female voters that he's lost, and he decided to put his ego in the way. And instead, he holds a rally the other day with I think it was yesterday, with all these women behind him with their signs, Women for Trump. And he thought that would be a better look than having somebody like Nikki Haley up there. You know, we know that he did not want Nikki Haley around his campaign.
No.
What a Can you imagine if he picked Nikki Haley as his VP? I think Kamala Harris would be in a lot of trouble. Instead, he picks J.D. Vance.
But he still sexually assaulted a woman, Brian. I still don't understand how she can get behind that. And one last thing, because I know you got a lot of callers. I agree with that last caller. I have a feeling, and I think, and listen, I'm a Democrat, but I'm very middle of the road like you. I think a lot of this is pushed by the media, because, listen, CNN has some piss poor coverage. I think a lot of these polls are completely rigged because they want to keep people engaged. They want to sell ad revenue, and they want clicks and views on their page. I completely think that she's going to win by 8 to 12 points. I've been saying that for over a month, and I think that these pollsters are screwing it with us because they're trying to manipulate their system to get more clicks and views.
So
I really believe
it's
that
possible,
in my heart of hearts.
It's possible. The most important thing, whether she wins by 1 point, whether she wins by, you know, whatever the Electoral College gives her, the important thing is that she wins. But I will tell you something. If she wins in a landslide, America has going to be spoken, and the Republican Party is going to have to rearrange what they're doing. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But, boy, if it does happen, and if it's a monumental win or a landslide victory, Republicans will have nobody to blame but themselves, because they're the ones who supported this orange Cheeto Jesus moron. Now, on the flip side of things, if Donald Trump does win, which I don't believe he will, but if Donald Trump wins, it's going to be a different conversation the next couple of days. But I appreciate you calling in, Paul, and I hope you can call back in when we can call Kamala Harris the next president of the United States, sir.
Love it.
All right. Thanks, Paul. 702-221-7283. By the way, as I mentioned before, and I'll mention again, we have a special guest coming in studio for hour number 2. We're going to be taking more calls in hour number 2. We're also going to have 2 hours of bonus coverage where I'm going to be coming back here from 4 to 6 p.m. But here's what we're going to do right now. I want to take a quick break. I know our phone lines are jammed. We're going to get to more callers. Mark, Vito, Rana, John. We'll get to more callers. And then we have somebody coming in studio who is a sports talk show host here in town. But he has agreed for the first time to come in studio and do my show with me to talk a little politics. He's also on the right side of history. That is for sure. Chris Chapman's going to be joining us in studio next, a local radio host here in town, and we're going to be taking more calls. I know all of you want to get your voices heard. I promise you, all of you, we will hear from all of you. We've had some great phone calls thus far. We'll have more phone calls hour number 2. I ask all of you just to sit tight on hold. I promise we will get to all of you, okay? I know the phone lines are going to be busy right now. We're going to keep taking calls. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back right after this on Election Day. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSH.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.
Let's take our country back, one community, one vote at a time. I am Ron Quince, and I'm asking for your vote because every vote matters. I am Ron Quince, and I approve this message.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call, 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
Hello, I'm Ron Quince, and I'm running for Congress as a nonpartisan candidate in District 1. I'm dedicated to serving our entire community. In this challenging time, it's more important than ever to have leaders who focus on unity and progress. I believe in putting people over politics and finding practical solutions that benefit us all. Never stop believing in America, no matter our troubles and turmoil. We can and we will do better. We must be brave. Stop voting for those politicians who care about their career and gaining power but don't improve our lives. I believe in America and I believe in you. You need a candidate who believes in policy over party because you deserve better. In Nevada, every voice matters. I humbly ask for your vote this coming election, November 5th. To learn how we can create a better America, please visit QuinceForNevada.com. Paid for by Ron Quince for Congress.
I'm Shelley Berkeley, and I approve this message.
Shelley Berkeley, a proud Las Vegan who shatters barriers, becoming the first in her family to attend college, and served as UNLV's student body president, serving in the Nevada legislature, the University Board of Regents, and 7 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. Shelley excelled as the senior VP of the Toro University system. Shelley Berkeley, a dedicated mother and family woman. Shelley has the experience we need as our next mayor. Shelley gets things done.
Paid for by Shelley Berkeley for mayor.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on Election Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us on what is a very busy news day. I think Donald Trump is going to be declaring victory any moment now. Big news out of the state of Nevada that we just heard in the last hour. Democrats have caught up to Republicans and now are beating Republicans by about 1,500 votes or so. We all saw Republicans were gloating in the state of Nevada about, the early voting. Well, guess what? Democrats have surpassed them. I said don't freak out about it. Boy, Kamala Harris might take Nevada. So I figured on this very special Election Tuesday, before we get back to the phone calls, I would introduce to you somebody who I've known for a very long time. He's been on the airwaves for a long time here in Las Vegas, but not talking politics, as a sports radio talk show host covering the Vegas Golden Knights, UNLV, and many other entities here. And he also is on the right side of history. He voted for Kamala Harris. I am talking about radio talk show host Chris Chapman, who joins me in studio, decked out in a very red hockey jersey. Why are you wearing red today? I'm very disappointed in you.
Well, I just thought that maybe the jersey would be a little cool. It's
why red though? Well, there's a little blue in there.
There's a lot of blue in here, but it's the wrong. It's not that color red. It's
true.
Plus, it's a Canadian jersey, so I think I'm okay. But thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. How are you feeling today on Election Day?
I'll be honest, Brian. I didn't sleep well last night, and I think anyone who loves this country and knows what's at stake, they probably didn't sleep very well either. I woke up a couple times, and I just can't wait for today to be over, to be honest.
It might be more than just a day, though,
well,
unfortunately.
Fingers crossed that it turns out that it's not.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous, but I'm also very confident in a lot of the numbers and the data that I'm seeing come in from a lot of these swing states.
Yeah.
The Michigan Secretary of State making the comment that it's going to be the largest turnout ever. That bodes well for Kamala.
What do you make, though, of the news that, Russia is interfering and there's been bomb threats in Georgia?
Yeah, I saw that.
And they're immediately saying it's coming from Russia.
Of course it is, because Vladimir Putin, who is embraced by, 35% of this country, is
true.
He is quite literally the worst human being on the planet. He's vile.
Yep.
And it's not a shock that a man who has spent his entire career, right? Remember, he was in the KGB. He's hated the United States his entire life.
And this is the guy where Donald Trump sends him COVID test kits in
Yeah.
the middle of COVID.
Well, that tells you everything you need to know about Donald Trump.
Yep.
He's never put America first.
Won't say he wants Ukraine to win the war. He wants Russia to win.
Listen, if you are rooting for Russia, you are a horrific human being.
Agree.
I'm sorry.
Agree.
Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry when I say that. And you and I know people who believe that nonsense, that Russia is the good guy and Ukraine is the one who's at fault. And I don't know what to tell those people.
I mean, that's why this election is so important for so many different reasons. Obviously, you talk about democracy. You talk about the war, whether it be in Ukraine or the Middle East, wherever. We talk about abortion. I think women are going to be the main reason why Kamala Harris wins. They're coming out in droves. Some very prominent Republicans that happen to be women who have never voted for a Democrat. I spoke to a few of them yesterday. Have voted for Kamala Harris. Charlie Kirk said he's right. I think there's a lot of women that are afraid to tell their husbands, sadly, that they're voting for Harris, but secretly they're going into that voter booth, along with a lot of moderate Republicans that maybe won't be talking about it publicly, but they are voting Democrat and they are voting for Kamala Harris, and that's why I think she's going to win today.
Well, I think let's start with this conversation. If you're a woman and you're afraid to tell your husband that you voted for Donald or that you voted for Kamala Harris,
you should divorce him.
Get out of that relationship.
I couldn't agree more.
Do not have children with that man.
I agree.
Because he's toxic.
Yeah.
And he's abusive.
Well said.
There's another aspect that you kind of mentioned with the whole Russia thing. For me, it's personal because my son is half Taiwanese. I lived in Taiwan for 2 years. I taught English there. I'm like Tim Walz. I taught English in Asia. But Trump is cozying up to Xi Jinping.
Right.
For all the nonsense that he says about China, at the end of the day, he has an admiration for Xi Jinping that I don't think any politician in this country has. And to see how quickly the Republicans have abandoned Ukraine tells me that if Xi Jinping decided to invade Taiwan, they would be just as quick to abandon Taiwan. Now, what a lot of people may not know about Taiwan is it is the largest producer of semiconductors on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Xi Jinping wants that technology.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with reunification. It has everything to do with that technology.
Yeah.
Taiwan is a ally The Strait of Taiwan is a huge, huge shipping area. So when I see the Republican Party so quick to abandon Ukraine, it tells me that they would do the same exact thing to Taiwan. And that, to me, is unacceptable.
Agreed.
It's personal as someone who has a son whose mother was born in Taiwan. So that's another reason why I'm disgusted by a lot of what I've seen.
Rightfully so. And I have another update on Nevada and the numbers that are coming in. Democrats are now continue to surpass Republicans as far as voting goes. They have now surpassed the Republicans over 2,000 votes in the state of Nevada, which is a big deal because they were way behind in early voting. And not only now have they caught up, this is 80,000 votes total, by the way, but they're ahead of the Republicans, which I think is a big deal. All right.
Well, that doesn't even include the independents.
Correct. And other independents are making up a little under 40%. Democrat vote is around 31.5%. The Republicans are at 28.9%, but this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, I'm not trying to be overconfident here, but I'm telling you right now, the independent vote, there is no way that Trump is winning the independent vote. No way. That is not going to happen. There are a lot of moderate Republicans that are voting for Harris. You can't find me a lot of moderate Democrats that are voting for Donald Trump. All right, Mr. Chris Chapman, what do you say we get to the phone calls, which is always fun. A little different than the phone calls you usually take. Talking VGK hockey. We're actually talking politics now, but I'm glad you're here, Chris. Thank you for being here. All right, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Vino. Vino is next up on PTL. Hi, Vino. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Iowa.
All right. Well, that's a big state right there. Vino, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Couple points. Keep your eye out on Iowa. I live in northern Iowa, Redneckville. I do not see nearly the enthusiasm as I did for Trump in 2020. Also, the governor passed that 6-week abortion ban in the state, and that is making women irate.
Yep.
And they're coming out in droves. The other thing too that a lot of farmers won't admit is that a lot of these hog confinements, they have undocumented immigrants, and they're going to lose out when Trump says he's going to do this mass deportation. They're going to lose their bottom dollar as well. So keep your eye out on Iowa. The other thing too is when Kamala wins, because I'm optimistic, and when she wins, I think her first duty is to tell Merrick Garland to kick rocks, because that guy has done nothing in his role as far as I'm concerned. He tries too hard to be apolitical.
Garland has been a big you're not going to hear an argument from me. Garland has been a big disappointment. I get a lot of calls from Iowa. I got several calls yesterday from Iowa, my friend, and it would not surprise me if Kamala Harris wins there. It would not surprise me now. I just think Trump has had a horrible week, my friend. And by the way, did you vote by mail or did you vote in person, if you don't mind me asking?
I went in person.
How did that
this
go?
Morning.
Any issues?
It went smoothly.
Good.
I live in rural Iowa, so I went in and boom, no line or anything.
Well,
so,
thank you. Thank you for being on the right side of
and
history.
I love your show, Brian.
Thank you.
It's been my support group for the last couple months, so
Well,
I appreciate it.
Well, that means a lot to me, sir, and I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much, and I'm glad we have another one who's on the right side of history.
That it's funny that he talks about Iowa. I was just in Nebraska 2 weeks ago, and Nebraska, obviously ruby red state. And I was in Omaha, but I was also in Papillion, which is, I believe, how they pronounce it. I would say Papillon.
Yep.
But Papillion, which is a suburb of Nebraska or of Omaha. It's a bit rural. There's some farms. I was at a berry farm. I only saw my entire time in Omaha and Papillion 2 houses that had Trump signs up.
Were there Confederate flags right next to the sign?
No, but one was like MAGA Woodstock, because they had the life-size cutout of Donald Trump in the window. The other one had a little more of a subtle, but I saw more Harris wall signs in Omaha. Now, I know people listening.
That's scary. So there's a morbidly obese cardboard cutout in the window.
But right by the zoo. So if you're in Omaha and you drive by the zoo, you'll see the house I'm talking about. Yeah. They also had like a upside down candy corn that looked like Trump. But the point I'm making is, I know Omaha is a very liberal city. Kamala Harris is going to win District 2. But when you look at the poll numbers from District 2 in Nebraska, Biden won, I believe, by 6 points. Kamala was polling plus 12.
Wow.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And then when you factor in the poll from Ohio that was released last week and the poll from Kansas that only had Trump plus 5, I don't think she's going to win Ohio. I don't think she's going to win Kansas. I'm skeptical that she'll win Iowa. But what I do believe is the gap has closed in a lot of these states.
Arizona is a toss-up. But, she's getting more support in Florida, I think, than a lot of people expected as well.
Now, you do this every day.
Yeah.
I don't. So I don't know how many calls you get from Arizona, but
get some.
Do people believe that Carrie Lake,
well, she's an imbecile.
Is she bringing down?
No, she's down 11 points. She's not going to win.
Is she going to bring him down?
I don't know. I don't know if she's bringing him down as much as bringing herself down. You remember the comment she made about McCain supporters that cost her the last election. Yeah. She's a complete imbecile. She's losing by double digits. She's not going to win. She is a horrific human being. She's never won any lawsuits contesting the election. She's a complete idiot. And quite frankly, she's an embarrassment to the media. The fact that she was ever a journalist, too. And also very strange when she does interviews and she has the weird color of her face. I don't know if it's makeup or something. Yeah, it's strange. But anyway, she ain't going to win. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next on PTL. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good.
I was going to talk about the run-in I had online to vote, but I want to talk about something else that's a little nicer. Have you heard the district attorney of Philadelphia on his press conference, what he said?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Are you talking about? Yeah. You're talking about bringing in the national.
F around and find out.
Yeah.
F around and find out.
Yeah.
I feel really good. I'm in Pennsylvania. I feel really good about this election.
So do I.
At least Harris win in PA.
Yeah.
Now, I know we all have to keep an eye out on all the states.
Sure.
But there are 3 main states that if she wins, the election is over.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the blue states that she would normally carry.
Right.
It's over. All she needs is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
I think
She
whoever
wins
wins
those
Pennsylvania
3,
wins
it's
the whole
over.
thing. Yeah, I think Pennsylvania is the most important one. By the way, I want to repeat this once again, Mark. 450,000 people from Puerto Rico live in Pennsylvania. How do you think that MSG thing is going to affect the election?
There's also a lot of Polish immigrants in Pennsylvania, and we saw at the debate how Kamala was able to twist Trump's own words against him and basically say, hey, Polish Americans, he's going to leave you guys abandoned too. So I'm encouraged a lot by what I've seen in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, sure.
The data, they hit their target for early voting, and there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, they had 1.1 million in 2020. First of all, it's not 2020. There's no pandemic. And if you see any of the reports coming out of Philadelphia about they already hit 40% of their 2020 vote total by 8 a.m. in Philadelphia.
It's incredible. Barack Obama, though, has just made a statement on Twitter, and I'm just going to paraphrase what he said. And he's basically saying, listen, it's going to take several days. He's basically saying, guys, it's going to take several days. Let the process play out. Be patient. And he's right. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Rona. Is it Rona that's next up on PTL? Hi, Rona. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Addison, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas.
Gotcha.
So I wanted to tell you, I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this, but I have a really unique perspective on things here in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working as an election clerk since the 2020 election, and I just worked 12 early voting days, not, almost 12 hours a day.
Yep.
And some of the things that I wanted to kind of fill you in on some of my observations. One of them is the first week that we had early voting, we had the people that came in with the MAGA shirts.
Which is illegal, right?
Right. And you ask them, you have to either take it off or turn it inside out. They get all pissed off. And this one guy he says, Oh, this is the name of my company. Yeah, right. He wanted to know who to call. I said, well, call the Dallas County Elections Department.
So stupid.
They would come in with their hats. They would test us. I even had a lady when I was checking her in. She had her phone around her neck, and I could see my image, myself in the screen of her phone that she was filming me. And I said, you have to turn that phone off. There's no phones allowed in here. And so, they get all bent out of shape. But
why is it? Can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt, but why is it that it's always the MAGA people, right? You're not seeing across the country viral videos of people wearing Walt's Kamala shirts that are getting into physical altercations with people like you. Why is it always the MAGA people wearing the hats and the shirts that cause the issues here? I find that interesting. Why do you think that is?
I mean, it's like they want to give you the middle finger every time. It's just, that's the way they are. I did have 2 women come in with Kamala Harris shirts on, ask them if they would go and reverse them. No problem.
They were pleasant.
I didn't know.
Right, they were pleasant.
Yes,
honest mistake. My apologies.
Pleasant.
Right. And then the MAGA people get all aggressive with you. It's so despicable. And these people, listen, it's one thing if you don't know the rules. That's okay. I think that's no problem. But that's not what bothers me. Chris, what bothers me with people like Rona tell me that they get rude. I want to know who your boss is. Like they don't even understand that those are the rules. And yet these are the same people that say the Democrats are cheating. They're the ones that are, doing the shenanigans and all this other stuff, when it's these dopey MAGA Republicans that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
Well, it's like my experience here when I went to go drop my ballot off over at Desert Breeze, and I was hounded, not by someone telling me to vote for Kamala,
right,
by multiple people yelling and screaming at me because somehow they deterred that I was not voting for Donald Trump. But first off, I know I have some former teachers that work as poll workers. One very, very close to me who is a poll worker in Virginia. My best friend's parents, they volunteer in Tucson.
Yeah.
It's a thankless job, which is why every time I vote or I drop my ballot off, I make sure I thank. They're not getting paid to do that.
And let's thank her, Rona, by the way.
Thank you, Rona,
yes.
for basically putting up with the abuse.
We do get paid. In Dallas County, we do get paid.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, regardless.
$18.24 an hour, and then we get overtime.
Good.
I worked 90 hours last week.
Wow.
Well, regardless of whether you get paid or not, thank you for what you do. You shouldn't have to put up with harassment. You shouldn't have to put up with these MAGA right-wing buffoons that are causing you grief because they don't want to turn their shirt inside out. By the way, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't want to see a lot of these MAGA buffoons take their shirt off and put it inside out because a lot of them look like Donald Trump. But anyway, Rona, thank you for the phone call, and thank you for what you do. You earned every dollar of that, and I appreciate you telling your story.
Yeah,
thank you.
And if Trump and Elon have their way, you won't get paid overtime.
That's true. You're right about that. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Craig. Craig is next up on PTL. Hey, Craig, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from a very small little town in western Nebraska.
All right.
Oh, cool.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, my friend.
I was just in Nebraska, Craig. I like the state very much. I mean, I've only been to Omaha and the surrounding area, but I find people from Nebraska to be very, very pleasant people.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm originally from Omaha, but I live in Kimball, Nebraska, which is a little small town in western Nebraska now.
Gotcha.
And thank you so much for allowing me to be on the program here.
Sure.
I wanted to just run a few things past your listeners.
Sure.
Donald Trump always says that he has just the best people, and, everything's always he's the best, got everybody the best. Well, I did a little investigating here, reporting, and this morning, and I want to go through the list of people. Paul Manafort, campaign consultant,
felon,
chairman,
convicted felon.
Paul Manafort. I'm just going to
go ahead, keep going. Yeah, let's hear the list.
Paul Manafort, Roger Stone.
Another idiot. George Papadopoulos.
The
coffee boy.
Another idiot. Yeah.
George Papadopoulos.
Yep.
Lieutenant General Michael Flynn.
Michael Flynn, the guy who lied to the FBI. Another idiot. Yep. Another conspiracy theorist punk.
Yes. And Ellen Wesselberg.
Yep. The guy who ran his charities and all that and went to jail for him. Yeah. He only hires the best people. Michael Cohen, I'll give you some help here. Michael Cohen is another one. I'm glad he's on the right side of history now. We just had Steve Bannon, who just got out of jail.
Corey Lewandowski.
Bannon's probably planning another January 6th insurrection. I mean, these people, my friend, they have absolutely no credibility. Many of them are felons. Many of them need pardons. And just like Donald Trump, they're hoping and praying that Donald Trump gets back into office so they don't go to jail, because we know Rudy Giuliani's eventually going to be going to jail and he'll need a pardon. But I appreciate you calling in, my friend. The list is very long. I only hire the best people. Sorry. He does this with his hands, too. I know, it's
Accordion.
a terrible impersonation. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right. Why don't we go to Craig? No, we just had Craig.
By the way, very encouraging.
Yes.
Craig is calling from western Nebraska.
Yes.
About as rural as it possibly gets. Like if I don't know where Kimball is, but I'm assuming it's out near Wyoming or northeast Colorado.
Yep.
So very encouraging that someone from western Nebraska, very rural part of the country, is calling in and
we get calls from all over the country and it is encouraging. All right, let's go to Felipe. I believe Felipe is next. Hi, Felipe. Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, how you doing, Brian? I'm calling you from New York, Westchester.
Gotcha.
Long Island.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. By the way, I love your show. I know you get that a lot, but your show is really good.
Thank you.
Very educational.
Appreciate it.
You're not biased or anything like that, which I love.
Well, I'm biased. I'm biased.
Straight shooter.
I appreciate your compliment. I want to be clear, though. I have to correct you on something. I'm biased against rapist felons. I'm biased. I tend not to support rapists who rape women and 34-count felons. I tend not to like people that wake up in the morning. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. I apologize. I tend not to like people who wake up in the morning and put 8 layers of orange makeup, looking like a clown with a girdle. I tend not to support people with 5 kids with 3 different women who have been snake oil salesmen their entire life. I tend not to vote for people who love evil, murderous dictators. I'm sorry. I can continue to go on, who brag about sexual assault. But anyway, I digress, so I guess I'm a little biased. Go ahead.
No, I love it. But I just wanted to make a quick comment because obviously I want to make sure everybody has time to speak to you.
Sure.
But this is what I wanted to say. At the beginning, when Trump was elected, I can understand, especially if you're from New York, you already knew what this con man was.
Bingo.
But everybody else, in the middle America, as they say, like the flyover states, I can understand. They look at him, quote unquote, looks like a successful guy and all this BS stuff.
Right.
I can understand voting him for the first time. The second and now the third time, you're still voting and supporting this criminal. Those people should
listen. You're right.
Be legally a way to revoke. That,
yeah, I think they all should be deported. Listen, I spoke to a woman this morning who I know. Okay, I said, if Donald Trump raped a 14-year-old on video, would you still support him? She said yes. She looked me in the eye. She said yes. I said, how could you say that? She goes, well, I like his policies. Okay, that woman that I spoke to this morning is despicable, and I don't even want to talk to her anymore because she's such an ignoramus fool. But what if it was your daughter? Like, how do you listen, if you want to have a policy disagreement with me, let's talk about the border. Let's talk about health care, concepts of a plan. But, like, how do you the reason why I ask some MAGA supporters that question to start, because I try to figure out, do I even want to have a conversation with this person? There are certain people I don't even want to talk to. They're so stupid. They're so stupid. I don't even want to talk to them.
It's a cult. Yeah, it's a cult. This is the question.
Of course it is.
This is the question I wanted to ask you, Brian, because I really want to get your input on this. We know that it's a cult. This is not normal. Like, my family's from Spain, and whenever we travel to Europe, it's an embarrassment because everybody asks us, what the hell is going on in America? But anyway, I digress. What I'm trying to say is that how do you think, or what is your best guess on how we, assuming everything works out the way we think it's going to work out tonight, hopefully, we'll have a really clear indication that Kamala wins. How do you think we're going to get over this?
So I'm going to go with, it's a good question. It's a good question, by the way, and I appreciate you calling from New York. I'm going to take the same, echo what Barack Obama said. It's going to take several days. I think we are more prepared now as a country than we were 4 years ago. I don't believe we're going to have an insurrection. I don't believe there's going to be, there's still going to be claims of voter fraud, and Donald Trump is never going, if he loses, he's not going to ever concede, and we're still going to have the MAGA idiots. But I will tell you this, the people like the Tina Peters of the world who are in jail, who did this show, and others, people are going to be a little bit more careful with what they say. Otherwise, they're going to end up in jail like Tina Peters. So it's a good question. We're not going to know tonight, I don't think, unless it's a landslide victory, which is a possibility. Trump could win.
Either way, it could be a landslide.
Trump could win. I'm not saying it's over. Trump could easily win this thing. I don't know. But either way, I don't think we're going to find out tonight, and I appreciate your call. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. Hey, Ray, where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Thank you, sir, for calling in from Florida. What's on your mind? How's your boy Ron DeSantis in those white boots doing, by the way?
Oh, he's an asshole.
Well, we agree. We agree on that, Ray. I like you already, my friend. What's on your mind today?
Just for information, I'm a retired union plumber, 66-year member of the Fort Lauderdale Plumbers Union.
Wow.
So you know which way I'm going.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I'd like to see something brought to everybody's attention when 1980 and he hired all them illegal Polish laborers to tear down the building for Trump Tower.
Right.
It's something that a lot of people don't know about.
Yep. He's been screwing union workers his entire life.
Yeah.
And the idea that you as a union guy, like, what is your sense among, your peers? Are there a lot of union guys who are buying his baloney?
Yeah, our local and our international supports Harris.
Yeah.
If that was a question.
I think I read a story. There's like over 40 local unions that have already endorsed Kamala Harris, and the Trumpers were making a big deal about the national, the point that they're not endorsing either candidate, and Republicans are making. Trump saw that as some sort of huge victory. When you look at most unions across the country, they ain't supporting Donald Trump.
Now, you saw what he thought of.
My local and international supports Biden and Harris 100%.
Ray, do you think Trump? Do you think Harris has any chance to win Florida?
No.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you, Ray. I think it's going to be really hard, but I appreciate you calling in, and I'm glad there are good people like you out there in the great state of Florida. I expect some oranges to be sent through the mail. I appreciate it, Ray.
He's fighting the good fight
he is.
In a very difficult spot to do it.
Very difficult.
I never bought into him winning or Kamala winning Florida, but what I do believe is, and this could be an early sign, there's 2 states. Watch what happens in Virginia and watch what happens in Florida. Mm-hmm. If Florida is slow to release their results, that means it's a lot closer than we would indicate. Same holds true with Virginia. Virginia is a reliably blue state. But the first sign in 2016 that we were in trouble as a country was when Virginia kept saying too close to call, too close to call. If Virginia is too close to call for a long time tonight, that could be a problem for Harris.
Well, she doesn't have to win Virginia. She doesn't have to win Florida. She has to win Pennsylvania.
Right.
Michigan is very important.
Well, if she loses Virginia, she could be in trouble.
I agree, but she doesn't have to win Virginia. But Arizona is important. Nevada is important. There are a lot of key states, but I'm sticking with my guns here, for lack of a better term. Pennsylvania, to me, is going to be...
I think she's going to win Pennsylvania.
I think so, too, but I think that's going to be the deciding factor. And I also think Josh Shapiro has a lot to do with that, not just because he has my last name.
By the way, I love Josh Shapiro.
He's the best.
And the idea...
No relation. I wish he was. But.
The idea that people were floating around that Kamala didn't select him because she was afraid of Israel, the retaliation for Israel. Josh Shapiro might be president of the United States one day.
Oh, I agree.
And
Josh Shapiro, Pete Buttigieg ticket.
And or Gretchen Whitmer.
Sure. She's great, too.
I firmly believe that Josh Shapiro saw that maybe there was a potential that Kamala was going to lose, and he wasn't willing to risk.
Yeah.
But he's awesome. And what I love about Josh Shapiro, if you're in Pennsylvania listening, your governor, I know he's wildly popular, but what I love about him, he was one of the first guys I saw go on television and call Trump out for saying, I'm sick of you trash talking our country every single day. And as an American, that should bother you.
It should.
That he hates half of, maybe even more, than half of
it's
the
not
country.
even just the country. If you're Jewish and you don't vote for me, you should get your head examined. They've gone after Christians. Charlie Kirk has. They've gone after really anybody that doesn't
the
support
moment
them.
he had dinner with Nick Fuentes.
Oh, that was the worst. He invited a neo-Nazi to Mar-a-Lago with Kanye West. If that's not bad enough. All right, let's get back to the phones. Let's go to Adrian. Adrian is next up on PTL. Hey, Adrian, where are you calling from?
I'm actually in Toronto, Canada, but
Thank you.
citizenship, I voted by mail.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah, I love your show. I got to tell you, I'm really nervous about it. To be candid with you, I have lost faith in the American public. I'm stunned that we're even having these conversations about how close this thing is. I listen to all the spectrum of news. I stomach Fox News just because I want to just hear what people are talking about, type of thing.
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to touch on was that the whole reproductive rights and how Trump talks about it, having it go down to the states to decide, and people seem pacified by that, which utterly blows my mind. How? Because here's my perspective: one state allows it, another state doesn't. They have different laws. However, just like gun laws, the women who can't get access to health care in XYZ are going to go to state ABC and flood ABC states.
You're right. So, Adrian, this is the way I explain it to people. Geography should have no bearing on a woman's body, meaning...
I heard you say that.
Yeah, it's a joke. I mean, think about that. A poor woman who has to make a very difficult decision. Now, maybe they could also be the victim of incest or rape, and God forbid, but we know it happens, that they should have to go 500, 600, 700 miles to try to get an abortion. These far-right radical Republicans are so ridiculous and extreme in their views. If they want to have 100 babies, go ahead. Listen, I don't want 100 Ben Shapiros walking around because he's a little weasel, but I'm not going to tell him what to do. If the guy wants to have 100 kids, go ahead and have 100 kids. I would be shocked if his wife was ever intimate with him that many times, but that's another story for another show. But the point being, I don't like to tell other people what to do with their bodies, including the vaccine. I never said the vaccine should have been mandated either. But these idiots that say, my body, my choice, but then when it comes to abortion, all of a sudden they want the government to tell women, oh, let's just leave it up to the states, right? That's what their excuse is now. These morons like Ted Cruz who won't even answer the question. This morning, Donald Trump was asked about that after he voted for himself with his Melania Trump contractual wife 2.0. And he was asked, how did you vote on the Florida issue, on the abortion bill? How did you vote on that? He said, oh, get out of here. I'm not going to answer that. Right, because he's a coward, right? He's a coward. And these far-right radicals, they want to tell, in 20 states, what country are we living in? In 20 states, it's illegal to have an abortion. In some of those states, no exceptions for rape or incest. Over 60% of the country believe in a woman's right to choose. We're not jumping on a trampoline when somebody has an abortion. They call themselves pro-life. They're not pro-life. If they were pro-life, then they would be for maternity leave. They would be for food stamps. They would be for welfare. They wouldn't be for the top 1%, giving them tax breaks. These people aren't pro-life. They're anti-abortion is what they are, and they're anti-trusting a woman. Let's just call it what it is. They don't trust women on what to do with their own bodies because they're a bunch of crusty middle-aged white guys who want to tell women what to do, who look like they're pregnant, by the way. They want to tell women what to do with their bodies. It is a disgrace. These far right-wing evangelicals are a disgrace to this country.
And from a Christian perspective, because I am, and this is another reason why I just don't understand why people are sitting, like Christians are sitting on the side of Trump, most of them. God gave us free will. Period. Period. Bible mandates in one state, like there's no, it's like that is number one. It's in the book of Genesis. God gave us free will to make our decisions. So the
But
fact
they'll
that,
say, but they'll talk about the Bible, and then Donald Trump will say, Donald Trump will go ahead and will say that the Bible is his favorite book to read, and then when they ask him to read one passage in that precious book, the Bible, he says, well, that's too personal. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I've never, listen.
Thank you for the call, by the way.
I don't know a lot of Christians who, when asked what their favorite Bible verse is, don't tell you. Like most of the Christians I know, they always wear their faith on their sleeve. And a lot of them will tell you, if the whole discussion about women's rights, to me, boils down to this. I am not a woman, but I am a father. At the end of the day, it's a decision made between a woman, her health care provider, and if he's around and he's responsible, the father of the child.
Of course, yeah.
The government has no business being involved in that type of decision. It's not their place.
It's not their place, but to all you right-wing evangelical idiots out there, I have a little audio I want to play for you. This is the guy who you're voting for, the idiot who holds the Bible upside down and has Bibles made in China for $3 and then ships them over here and sells them for $60. This is the idiot. For all you right-wing morons out there that voted for Donald Trump today, this is the idiot who you're supporting when it comes to the Bible.
I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Yeah, I'm sure that's because you don't want to read any of the verses because you haven't memorized anything because you're a liar. You have no problem, though, talking about grabbing women by the genitals. That's not too personal, right? You have no problem talking about your sexcapades, talking about your daughter's body, about how voluptuous she is. You have no problem. That's not too personal. But when it comes to talking about one passage in the Bible that you like, the Bible, by the way, that you're selling for only $60, made in China for $3, that's too personal.
Yeah, like
you scumbag evangelicals out there voting for this turd.
I never understood that because he was meeting or having an interview with two, I don't know if they were pastors, but prominent Christian guys. And they even pressed him on it because I think they knew he was full of crap.
Yeah.
So, like, I've never read the Bible. If you asked me what my favorite verse was, I couldn't tell you because I've never read it. But I remember going to catechism. I remember what I was taught in catechism.
I mean, doesn't it say you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't cheat?
Yeah, you shouldn't cheat, about that? Right? You shouldn't covet your neighbor's wife. Don't murder.
Doesn't it say anything about
the
that?
10 Commandments.
Does it say anything about selling the Bible? Does it say thou shalt not sell the Bible? No, that would be the 10 Commandments.
I don't listen. I'll be honest. I don't think, and I say this as someone who doesn't know for fact, and maybe someone can correct me, but I feel like there's something inherently wrong about someone profiting off of the word of God.
Horrible. He sells his Trump condoms, which, by the way, I don't even think he uses them. He sells patches of the jacket he wore when he had to turn himself in. This is how stupid some of these MAGA people are, right? They say never surrender, and they wear a shirt of Donald Trump literally surrendering. That's how stupid these people are. These are some of the – let me be very clear again, okay? To the base of the Trump supporters in this country, you are some of the dumbest people that America has to offer, his base. You are some of the people that show up at his rallies with your Confederate flags and your gold sneakers and your Trump Bibles. I've run into some of you. You are some of the dumbest people that America has to offer, and I wish you would just all be deported. I want to be very clear on that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. You want to deport legal Haitian immigrants because you think they're eating dogs and cats? No, I want you all deported because you're all stupid and you're dangerous for this country. Let's go to JT. JT is next up on PTL. Hey, GT, what's going on, man?
Brian, how you doing, man?
Good. Where are you calling from, JT?
I am calling from Western Colorado. I've called in before. I'm ex-Boebert constituent since she changed her district.
Oh, boy.
Are they still playing Beetlejuice, the play, out there in Colorado?
No idea, my friend. I think it might be 18 and up at this point. But also, Chris, I'm glad you joined. Brian, I don't really have any direct subject to talk about. I just wanted to say thanks to you, man. You've really kind of you've built a little community here among your listeners. And if it's all right, I'd just like to give a shout out to a couple of my friends who follow you on Occupy Democrats chat feed.
Sure.
Katie, Rochelle, T-Mac, and A.
Well, I appreciate
all you guys.
Thank you. And I'm glad you spread the word.
Go Harris.
Thank you.
Wolves.
And I'm going to tell you, we're going to continue to grow this community, and this show is growing every day because of people like you, which I appreciate very much. And let me be very clear on this. This is also important. I keep saying that. I sound like Barack Obama. Let me be clear. There are idiots on social media that claim that if Donald Trump wins, my show's over. What am I going to do? First of all, I did radio before Donald Trump ever took office. Number two, you could make this is how dumb these people are. You can make the argument that if Donald Trump wins, my show is going to be more popular. That's how stupid these people are.
Assuming he doesn't send the army after you,
right? Well,
because
enemy. I'm the enemy within.
Yeah.
By the way, they have declined me credentials the last couple weeks, and the surrogates have stopped responding to me. That's too bad. By the way, I have like 5 cell phone numbers of Donald Trump surrogates. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let the secret out. If Donald Trump loses, I'm going to send the same mass text message. I'm going to put all the surrogates in the same message, and I'm going to say, boy, you guys did a really good job. I really appreciate you guys doing my show. You really did a great job for Donald Trump. I'm going to congratulate all of them.
How quick?
Caroline Leavitt, all these morons that did my show that share all these right-wing talking points and can't answer a direct question.
She's running for office, right?
I think she is.
Oh, okay.
J.D. Vance, all these idiots that won't even answer a direct question. They won't even say who won the 2020 election.
Is it possible that J.D. Vance is actually more unlikable than Donald Trump?
I think among Republicans he is.
Like he's it's like at least Trump.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw up because I'm going to but he's charismatic.
Sometimes.
I mean, he hasn't been lately.
He's been very low energy.
Because I think he knows he's going to lose.
Did you see the video of J.D. Vance? I put this on social media. He's holding up a 6-pack of beer, and he says, this is the Kamala Harris-Tim Walz campaign, and he shows a 6-pack. And then he shows, it wasn't
beer towers. I saw.
And it wasn't even a 6-pack. It was a 3-pack of beer towers.
Math is hard.
You couch clown you.
But, he is. I think he's detestable. He is.
He really is.
He's
Take
not.
it easy on the eyeliner, man.
Yeah,
Take it easy on the eyeliner.
He's not even remotely likable.
He's not.
And I don't know, because I see a lot of conspiracy theories floated around about they're now just Peter Thiel and Elon are just using him to get the 25th Amendment and get Trump out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't believe that, because I think they know that there would be an absolute riot in the Republican Party if that happened.
Well, listen to this idiot. This guy could be one KFC sandwich away, one burger away from being the president of the United States.
This is a 6-pack under the leadership of Kamala Harris. This is a 6-pack under the leadership of Donald J. Trump. Let's make America great again.
Have you ever seen anything so uncomfortable in your life?
I saw the video, and I don't know, because I know J.D. Vance's wife is a very very intelligent woman.
Well, she can't be that.
Usha, right? Is that her name, Usha?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't have great taste in men. That's
and that's the thing. How low was her self-esteem?
Wow.
That she married that guy.
It's got to be low. She's an accomplished woman,
and she's very intelligent.
Well, maybe she has a fetish for guys that want to work for Adolf Hitler. I don't know. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. All right, who are we going to next here? Let's go to Maureen. Maureen is next up on PTL. Hi, Maureen. Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. It's New Jersey.
Oh, my home state.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Maureen. Where in New Jersey are you calling from?
Woodbridge Township.
Okay. That's Middlesex, right?
Yeah, Middlesex County.
I grew up a little bit further south of you in Ocean County.
Oh, yeah, I know where that is. What I'm concerned about is if this idiot gets in, he's going to have Elon Musk, head of finances.
Right.
Then he's going to have Robert Kennedy, worm brain, head of women's health.
It's
crazy. How
Crazy.
upsetting is that?
It gets worse. By the way, if that's not bad enough, he's going to have Sebastian Gorka in his administration. Steve Bannon will probably be an advisor. He's going to have Peter Navarro in his administration. He's going to have Stephen Miller in charge of border security. I'm sure he'll probably be the border czar. I mean, if you thought the 2016 administration was dangerous, wait for the sequel. Let's hope we don't see the sequel.
Mike Flynn may be the director of the military.
Let me tell you something. If Kamala Harris wins, I've heard this floating around, you should put Liz Cheney in charge of the DOJ. You should and just go after Trump. I'm telling you.
They should.
They really should. Don't play any more games. I've had it with Garland. Put Liz Cheney in charge. I have respect for this woman. I always will. She's been on the right side of history. Put her in charge, and Donald Trump will have to leave the country. Have him move to Russia. You know, have him.
They don't want him. Yeah. He's no longer useful.
I know.
But you know, Maureen is to what you were just saying. It's very interesting because I was watching television this morning and they interviewed a guy in Wisconsin who had just voted, and he said that he had been undecided until the last few days. And his reason for voting for Kamala was he said he heard Trump talk about all these people that he was going to put in his administration. And he said, those are unacceptable to him. He mentioned Kennedy by name. He said, there is zero chance I want that guy in charge of health. So he said basically the
What
same
are you
thing
saying?
you
You're
said.
saying you don't want a guy in a powerful position that stages bear murders in Central Park and cuts whales' heads off and put them.
Yeah. By
on
the
top
way,
of
I
his
saw
head?
I saw there was this is a really bad joke, but it's not really a joke. I saw that there was a dolphin that had washed up on the shore in New Jersey, and it had been like I don't know, like butchered, and people were questioning the whereabouts of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
So this is important. John Ralston, who did this show last week, I love John with the Nevada Independent, who's picking Kamala to win, has said, on Election Day in 2020, 109,000 Clark County voters went to the polls. Republicans won by 2,000 votes. Today, 84,000 have already voted with 5.5 hours left, and Democrats have a 2,000 ballot lead. I believe Kamala Harris is going to win the state of Nevada. And I did not believe that yesterday. The numbers coming out of the state of Nevada, everybody, are really good for Kamala Harris. Like, really good.
Yeah, and if I could just pile on that, this is coming from Erin Burnett, and she tweeted that the Nevada Secretary of State,
Cisco Aguilar, yep.
He says that two crucial things. Nevada is seeing a large surge in young voters, which is causing signature curing issues because young voters aren't used to signing their names. So I guess because they don't teach cursive in school anymore.
They're not signing a lot of checks.
Like
either.
my son's 17. He doesn't know how to sign his name.
But that's a good thing. I believe the more young voters out there are going to be voting for Kamala Harris. I know you have some young male voters.
Let me tell you a story about that. So I just mentioned my son. He's 17.
Yep.
His best friend turned 18 a few weeks ago. He's eligible to vote. It's the first time he's ever voted in a presidential election. And they were at my house the other day, and we were talking, and he told me he was going to vote for Jill Stein.
Ugh.
And I told him my personal story about in 2000, I was 21. I missed the 1996 election by 6 months. I couldn't vote in Dole versus Clinton. But in 2000, I voted for Ralph Nader.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Nevada, and I've regretted that decision for 24 years that I voted for Ralph Nader instead of Al Gore. And I told him that Bush won Nevada by 22,000 votes. Nader took 15,000 of those votes from Al Gore. What we did by voting for Ralph Nader, and it's not just in Nevada, it was in other states, that it took votes away from the guy who should have been president when 9/11 happened.
And Jill, and you know, I remember Ross Perot back in the day too. But,
yeah.
Jill Stein is despicable.
She's not good. She's not a good person.
She is despicable.
And she has kind of come out recently. Like, first of all, her running mate is transphobic. And Jill Stein basically kind of said, yeah, guess what? We're kind of supporting Israel.
Yeah.
But to finish my story, my son told me this morning his friend listened to me, and he voted for Kamala Harris.
Good. I'm hearing a lot of stories like that. I've heard people that have called into the show.
Well, it's on us
Yep.
as adults and older people who've been through this to explain to the younger generation that this is a very important issue, not just this election, but every election.
Yeah.
I voted in every election since I was eligible to vote. I lived overseas. I voted by mail ballot. I voted for Brian Sandoval for governor.
He was actually a very good governor.
I wish he would have run for president.
Yeah, Brian Sandoval, Republican, somebody that I would absolutely vote for president. I think he's a good man.
Yeah.
He's willing to reach across aisle. He's not a MAGA Republican. He's a decent, good man. I've had plenty of conversations with him, and he actually listens to the show from time to time. He told me I saw him at a UNLV game, believe it or not, last year.
What is he, the president of the University of Nevada, Reno?
Yeah,
So.
good man. 702-221-7283. Let's try to get in some more phone calls. Quick programming note. We're going to be back on the air in 2 hours. Chris won't be here, but another Chris will be here. Chris Wynn's going to be joining us.
By the way,
in a couple hours.
they're interviewing people outside of Allegiant Stadium.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
guys
that.
rocking a Cleveland Cavaliers
Is that
shirt.
Jim Acosta?
Yeah,
Jim Acosta in Las Vegas. How about that? I like that.
Oh,
All right.
it's a Raiders defensive end,
I
Charles
like that.
Snowden.
Jim Acosta doing interviews outside of Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas right now. Let's go to Irene. Irene is next up on PTL. Hi, Irene. Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. I'm calling from North Carolina.
Oh, I think she's going to take North Carolina.
No, Well, I hope she does.
What was that?
I'm originally from New England, so I'm new to North Carolina. This is my
Gotcha.
first year voting in North Carolina.
Yep.
Also voting for governor and some other things here.
Boy,
but
difficult
I just
choice
wanted to
there,
touch-
huh?
Crazy. Listening to people talking about the reproductive rights, and I just wanted to know to say there's a lot of people who may not realize this, but beyond the abortion issue, that women do not have rights in most states that I know of. As far as their bodies are concerned, you know that if you're married, you cannot get your tubes tied.
Right.
Oh.
Without your husband's consent. But yet you can get yourself fixed and never even tell your wife.
Yeah, it's a double standard, and I got to tell you something. That's not coming from the left.
It's been like that because I'm going to tell you, my youngest is over 40.
I'm sorry to hear
And it
that.
was like that
Well,
40
that can't
something
happen.
years ago.
So-
and my granddaughter, it just happened to her this year.
So you were alive pre-Roe. And
I was graduated from high school right around that time.
And you were also alive when women could not have checking accounts without their husband's approval.
That I don't know about.
Okay.
I just heard that recently.
Listen, when Kamala Harris says we're not going back, this is what she's talking
no,
about.
we're not going back.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you something. If Donald Trump gets elected, which I don't think he will, Make America,
to God he doesn't.
make America. That's what "Make America Great Again" means for some of these male chauvinistic, misogynistic, right-wing pigs. Okay, that's what they mean.
Yeah, they want you to go back.
They don't want women to vote. They don't want black people to vote. That's what in my opinion, that's what "Make America Great Again" means. Okay, that's not what the future looks like with Kamala Harris. Let's go to Ro. Ro is next up on PTL. Hi, Ro. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from North Carolina.
All right, Ro. Well, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
I actually wanted to call and say thank you for the coverage you're doing. There is I voted for Kamala whenever early voting started.
Yep.
And I convinced my wife to as well.
Good.
Her mom is a huge Trump supporter, or was in 2016, and she voted for Kamala, you know, because even though she's, like a huge Republican, there's still some people, in her family that, still trust Trump. But apart from that, I called one of my best friends not that long ago, and he didn't have all the information or all the accurate information. He told me that he was going to vote for Trump. And I said, "Are you serious? Are you? You must really be delusional." And he didn't really have all the facts. So I started sending him some of your videos and some of David Pakman's and Brylan Tyler Cohen's, but mainly yours.
Thank you.
And he was independent, and I'm like, you can't really be independent and vote for Trump. That's like the hugest oxymoron out there. But most of the people that still vote for him, the things that they say they support is just pure racism, in my opinion.
So I agree with you. Do you think some of my videos might have changed his mind?
Yes, obviously, because when I called him, he told me that his girlfriend is an immigrant, and I'm like, that should be like, where are you getting your information from? First off, if you think he's going to be better for the economy, let alone because I'm African American,
right,
and I'm mixed with Puerto Rican. Obviously,
So
those comments he made was just.
So for time constraints, if you don't mind me asking, Ro, is he voting for Kamala Harris? Did he vote for Harris?
Yeah, he actually changed his vote.
Wow. Well, that is awesome.
Well, you're doing good work. You're doing good work,
yeah,
Ro.
That's great, Ro. Let me say this, Ro. Thank you for that story, and I would love for him to call into the show at some point, hopefully, when we find out, that Kamala Harris is going to be the next president of the United States. But, Ro, thank you for sharing this show with others. Without you, that wouldn't be possible. So I appreciate you listening to the show. You sound like a great guy, and let's hope we all get the outcome that we want today. And then I would love your friend to call in, because this wouldn't be the first story of somebody calling into the show saying that, hey, either I changed my mind or I had someone else change my mind from this show. And I'm not trying to change people's minds. I'm just giving people my opinions. I'm sharing facts, separating fact from fiction. And Ro, I'm glad there are people like you out there that are also doing the same, my friend, and I appreciate you, okay?
But before we go, I just want to say, please, people, listen to this man. He has very, very insightful information, and do some research, and please vote blue all the way down the ballot.
Very well said, Ro, and I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Chris, the hour went by fast,
Yeah,
man.
it did go, huh?
So I do have some good news for all of you. I would love Chris to come back at some point. I know you're a busy man. You actually work at another radio station. But here's the good news for the listeners right now. We are coming back for another 2 hours. We're going to take a long lunch break, right? We're going to have some special guests that are going to be joining us at 4 p.m. So West Coast time. Right now it's almost 2 o'clock. Whatever medium you're listening on right now, it could be the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network. You could be on Twitch. You could be on my personal YouTube page. You could be on the FM AM dial, KSHP. We're going to be back on every platform in 2 hours doing another special 2-hour show. So we'll be back. That's the good news. Chris, I really do appreciate you being here. This is a lot of fun. It's so crazy. I've been in radio for 20 years. I've never done any radio with Chris before.
Yeah.
And I've known him for years. So this has been fun.
I started in Las Vegas radio in 2005, I think it was. So I took a few years off to, like I said, take my sabbatical, go live overseas for a little bit. You know, if you're a young person and you're listening to this show, the best advice I can give you is to travel, because it really opens up your eyes.
Sure.
We had Felipe call in. He said his family's from Spain. He goes to Europe. When I was in France a couple of years ago, I was talking with people from all over Europe, and they were blown away that January 6th not only was allowed to happen, but that there had not been any type of accountability for January 6th.
Well, there's going to be accountability now.
Well, if he loses,
he's going to jail.
If he loses, he is going, and he knows it. He's going to spend the rest of his life fighting to stay out of jail.
I agree. Everything you just said. It's been a lot of fun having you in here, Chris. I hope we can do it again sometime. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you being here, and let's hope we both get the outcome that we want.
I'm feeling cautiously optimistic.
As am I. So we are going to be back in 2 hours. On whatever platform you're listening to right now, we're going to be back on all those platforms in 2 hours. We're going to take more calls. It's going to be a similar show. We're going to have some special guests joining us. Chris, I appreciate you being here. So we're going to be back in 2 hours, as I say again, as I've repeated. So have no worries. We're going to take a quick or maybe a 2-hour lunch break. We'll be back. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back in a couple hours. We'll put another link up for the show here momentarily, and we'll be back soon in a couple hours. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family,